You know the scene, right? Like you're watching a friend, or maybe it's just a reflection in the mirror.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
Right. And they are just religiously sprinting on the treadmill for hours every single day, just dripping sweat.
Hoping a miracle finally shows up.
Exactly. Or, I mean, maybe it's a cabinet full of those, the newest weight loss pills or those exotic powders.
Complicated superfoods.
Yes. Each one promising to be like the magic code that finally unlocks the perfect physique.
Right.
We spend billions of dollars and honestly countless hours trapped in this totally exhausting labyrinth of marketing gimmicks.
It's a trap. It really is.
It is. But looking at the biological data in today's deep dive, a radically different reality emerges. Your muscles, they don't want confusion. They want the exact opposite.
You really do?
They crave consistency. So today, our mission is to completely uncomplicate your fitness journey by, stripping getting in shape down to its absolute biological core.
And honestly, it is a profound and frankly massive relief of a perspective shift. I mean, the entire fitness industry is essentially built on this foundation of manufactured complexity.
Oh, totally.
It thrives on making you feel like you're always, I don't know, one secret workout protocol away from success.
Or one obscure supplement, right?
Exactly. But if we bypass all that noise, the flashy diets, the constantly rotating lists of optimal exercises, we find that the human body actually operates on a surprisingly straightforward set of rules, both biological and psychological.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we can even begin to talk about whether you should be doing deadlifts or what you should be throwing into a blender every morning.
Right, the tactical stuff.
Yeah, before that, we have to understand the basic machinery we're operating. Because if you don't understand the engine, everything you do is just a wild guess.
It's flying blind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reality of the human body is just staggering. Every single movement you make, every thought you have.
Every beat of your heart.
Yes. It requires a continuous supply of energy. I mean, we are talking about a network of 60 to 100 trillion cells in the average human body.
It's a huge number.
Think about that.
Yeah.
100 trillion cells acting as this massive synchronized energy grid, just working in harmony every single second.
What's fascinating here is that it's a scale that's almost impossible for the human brain to fully visualize,
Oh, for sure.
But when you reframe your perception of your own body, like when you stop seeing yourself as just a solid, static object and start seeing yourself as a bustling metropolis of 100 trillion tiny powerhouses, the entire concept of nutrition completely shifts.
It really does. It's not just food anymore.
Right. It stops being this punitive thing called a diet, and it becomes the literal lifeblood keeping that metropolis running. Every piece of food you eat is dismantled to sustain those individual cells.
And let's break down what that energy actually looks like, right? Because sugar is a really perfect grounding example here. When someone says sugar, our brains instantly go to the white granulated stuff you pour into your coffee.
Or bake into cookies.
Right. But biologically, sugar is fundamentally just a unit of energy. Your body doesn't, look at a label. It looks at molecules.
It just sees fuel.
Exactly. And that energy can come naturally packaged with fiber and water in an apple, or it can be isolated and manufactured in a factory. The biological requirement for energy is an absolute constant.
Yeah, you can't bypass it.
But the quality of the raw materials you use, well, that's a choice you make multiple times a day.
Precisely. And, it goes far deeper than just providing the basic energy to keep the lights on.
How so?
Well, we often talk about the major macronutrients, right? The big structural providers, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats.
The bulk fuel.
Exactly, the bulk fuel. But this 100 trillion cell marvel, it's actually not completely self-sufficient.
Wait, really?
Yeah. It requires highly specific external inputs to function. For instance, the human body cannot synthesize most of its own vitamins. We literally lack the internal manufacturing plants to generate them.
That's crazy to think about.
We have to outsource that job to our environment. And the same goes for minerals. These are inorganic elements from the earth, like iron, magnesium, zinc.
Just actual metals and elements?
Right. Yet they act as the essential keys that unlock pivotal chemical reactions inside your cells.
So it's like having a state-of-the-art sports car. You can fill the tank with premium gas, which would be your macronutrients, but if you completely ignore the spark plugs, the oil, the transmission fluid,
the vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, if you ignore those, the car is still going to break down on the highway.
Exactly. And to stretch that car analogy slightly further, consider the radiator fluid. The human body is roughly 75% water.
That is wild.
It is. Cellular metabolism, the actual process of turning food into energy, it all happens in an aqueous environment.
Yeah.
So if that environment dries up even slightly, the chemical reactions slow down.
Oh, I see.
Just a 1 or 2% drop in total body hydration can cause a tangible decrease in cognitive function. You get sluggishness, headaches.
Which makes me wonder, are we treating our bodies like this, you know, unsolvable complex math equation?
All the time.
Right, like we're stressing over intricate macro timing and flashy, expensive supplements, when really we are just like neglecting to put basic oil in the engine, like we just forgot to drink a glass of water and eat an apple.
That is the exact trap. When you view your body through this microscopic cellular lens, you realize that optimal health isn't dictated by extreme interventions.
Right.
It is dictated by a holistic, consistent approach to providing baseline materials. If your cells have water, vitamins, minerals, and a steady supply of quality energy, they know exactly what to do. The engine runs itself.
Okay, so if we have this massive 100 trillion cell energy grid, what happens when we intentionally restrict the power supply?
Yes. Weight loss.
Because that naturally leads us to the most persistent myth in the entire fitness world, right?
Absolutely.
The immediate logical assumption everyone makes is, well, if I want to lose fat, I just need to eat less. I'll starve the powerhouses and the fat will just melt off. But biology is a lot more stubborn than that, isn't it?
Incredibly stubborn. And for a brilliant evolutionary reason, actually.
Okay.
The idea that merely slashing your calories will guarantee this perfect linear weight loss, it completely ignores millions of years of human development.
Because the body doesn't care about our beach photos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your body does not care about your aesthetic goals. It cares about keeping you alive. And it views body fat not as a flaw, but as a vital life-saving savings account.
Oh, a savings account. I like that.
It's an ancient survival mechanism inherited from thousands of generations of humans who lived through, brutal winters and famines.
So when you suddenly slash your daily food intake in half to get ready for vacation, your brain doesn't think, oh, excellent, we're getting lean for summer.
No, not at all.
It hits a massive panic button and screams, winter is here, the crops have failed, hoard the supplies.
Exactly. And let's look at the mechanics of how it hoards those supplies, because this is where extreme dieting severely backfires.
Okay, lay at me.
If we think of calories as your daily wages and your body fat as your savings account, what happens when your wages suddenly drop?
Well, you panic and stop buying coffee, probably.
Right, you don't immediately start blowing through your life savings. First, you cut your daily expenses. The body does the exact same thing. It downregulates your metabolism.
Wow.
It literally turns down the internal thermostat, which is why people on extreme crash diets often feel cold, lethargic, and brain fog.
Because the body is refusing to spend energy on anything non-essential.
Exactly. And it gets worse.
Oh, no.
Because to protect that fat, that precious savings account, it actually starts firing its most expensive employees.
Wait, what does that mean in the body?
In the human body, the most metabolically expensive tissue to maintain is muscle.
Oh, man. So you lose the muscle instead of the fat.
Yes. During a severe calorie deficit, your body will actually aggressively break down your muscle tissue for quick energy. Specifically, to avoid tapping into the fat stores it thinks it needs to survive the famine.
You literally end up cannibalizing the exact tissue you want to keep. While hoarding the fat you are desperately trying to lose.
It is the ultimate biological irony.
That is just brutal.
Now, to truly understand the sheer mechanics of fat loss, we have to look at a highly unusual, yet completely illuminating experiment. It was conducted by a nutrition professor named Mark Haub.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I know this one.
Oh, you do?
Wait, is this the Twinkie experiment?
It is indeed the Twinkie experiment.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here for a second, because this part always blows my mind. You're telling me a university professor intentionally ate nothing but junk food, like Twinkies, Little Debbie's, processed snack cakes for 2 entire months.
That's exactly what he did.
And he somehow lost 27 pounds.
27 pounds.
That sounds like a complete gimmick that contradicts literally everything we just established about cellular nourishment. How is that biologically possible?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But we have to draw a hard scientific line between weight loss and optimal health.
Ah, okay.
They are not the same thing. Professor Haub proved that weight loss is, at its absolute core, an energy balance equation.
Just pure math.
Pure math. The critical variable in his experiment was that he maintained a strict calorie deficit. He calculated exactly how much energy his body needed to just exist every day, and he ate fewer calories than that number.
And the source didn't matter for the weight loss part.
Right. It didn't matter to the laws of thermodynamics that those calories came from highly processed sugar and refined flour. The energy deficit forced his body to tap into stored tissue to make up the difference, hence the 27-pound weight loss.
Okay, so thermodynamics works, the math is real, but I'm guessing if I try to live off 2 candy bars a day and call it a fitness plan, my 100 trillion cells are going to stage a violent revolt.
Without a doubt, they absolutely will.
Right.
Because while Professor Hobb was losing weight, he was effectively starving his cells of the vital external inputs they require.
The spark plugs.
Exactly, the spark plugs.
Oh,
A Twinkie provides basic, rapidly burning carbohydrate energy, but it offers 0 vitamins, 0 usable minerals, and virtually no structural protein.
so you shrink, but you're starving.
If you sustain that kind of diet, your physical mass shrinks, but your internal systems begin to collapse. You are surviving the math equation, but you are absolutely not thriving biologically.
Which is why the distinction between whole foods and highly processed foods is just so important.
It is paramount.
It's like the difference between building a house out of solid oak versus, I don't know, building it out of wet cardboard.
That's a perfect way to put it. Lean meats, whole grains, fibrous vegetables, these are nutrient-dense. They provide the macronutrient energy and the micronutrient spark plugs.
And the processed stuff.
Highly processed foods, on the other hand, are often just empty calories. A great, very practical rule of thumb is to simply look at the ingredient list on a package.
Right.
If it reads like a chemistry textbook with 10 different unpronounceable preservatives, emulsifiers, and artificial sweeteners, you are feeding the body, but you are not nourishing it.
Okay, so we know how to manage the power grid's supply side. Basically, don't starve it, but keep a slight deficit using real whole ingredients.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for the demand side? Like if dropping our caloric wages too low causes our body to fire its best employees, our muscle mass, how do we convince the body to hire more of them?
Now we're talking about the gym floor.
Right. How do we flip the biological signal when we step into the gym? Because again, the natural human instinct for someone who thinks exhausting cardio sessions on the treadmill are the golden ticket is just, more. Run longer, sweat harder.
There are 50 different variations of a bicep curl. And here is where the less is more philosophy becomes biologically crucial. When people start a fitness journey, they assume that logging 2 hours a day in the gym is twice as effective as 1 hour.
Naturally.
But overworking is a massive trap. If you're constantly breaking the tissue down without purpose, you invite systemic inflammation and injury.
Oh, wow.
Instead of isolating every tiny individual muscle on 20 different resistance machines, the focus should be entirely on compound exercises.
Let's define that, actually, because compound exercises is one of those terms thrown around constantly on the internet.
Good point.
We are talking about movements that force multiple major joint systems and muscle groups to work simultaneously, right?
Yes.
So like a heavy barbell squat, a deadlift, a push-up, a pull-up.
Exactly. Think about the neurological demand of a bicep curl. You are sitting down, stabilized by a machine, moving one hinge joint.
It's pretty isolated.
Very. Your brain only has to send a very small, isolated signal to a tiny muscle group. Now contrast that with a heavy deadlift.
Oh man, night and day.
You are standing on the floor. Your brain has to fire your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, your entire core, your lower back, your lats, and your grip.
Just to not fall over.
Exactly. All in perfect synchronization, just to move the weight safely. The central nervous system recruitment is massive.
It sounds the alarm across the entire grid.
It does. You are demanding that multiple systems coordinate under heavy load. This massive recruitment triggers a cascade of hormonal and metabolic adaptations that a bicep curl could never achieve.
So it's just way more efficient.
You get a significantly higher return on your time investment, you burn far more energy, and you send a loud, undeniable signal to your body, we need to build and retain muscle tissue to survive this environmental stress.
But let me pause you right there, because if we're talking about lifting heavy weights and sending massive growth signals to the muscles, we have to address the elephant in the room.
I think I know what's coming.
I hear this constantly, especially from women. They say, if I lift heavy compound weights, I'm going to get bulky. I don't want to look like a bodybuilder. I just want to be toned.
It is the myth that absolutely refuses to die. And it holds so many people back from their true physical potential.
It really does.
The biological reality here is entirely driven by endocrinology, specifically hormones.
Oh,
Women naturally produce a fraction of the testosterone that men do. And testosterone is the primary hormonal driver for vast muscle hypertrophy, that massive bulging size.
right.
Because women simply do not have that specific hormonal environment, gaining that bulky look by accident is virtually impossible.
Right. Nobody accidentally becomes a bodybuilder.
Exactly.
I mean, those athletes are eating thousands of carefully measured calories, lifting for hours a day, and often relying on, well, extreme pharmaceutical interventions to get that size.
Precisely. For the average person, engaging in heavy resistance training does not create bulk. It creates density.
Density, I like that word.
It builds lean, metabolically active tissue that pulls the skin tight, giving that sculpted, toned aesthetic everyone is chasing.
And building that dense, toned muscle requires the final piece of the physiological puzzle. Because you go into the gym, you do a heavy squat, and you actually cause micro tears in the muscle fibers.
Yes.
You are literally inflicting tiny amounts of trauma on the tissue.
Yes. The workout is the stimulus, not the growth itself.
Right. So to repair that trauma, the body needs raw materials.
Yeah.
And this is where protein comes in.
Crucial.
When you consume protein, your body breaks it down into amino acids, which act as the literal scaffolding and bricks to patch up those micro tears.
And when the muscle repairs itself, it builds back slightly thicker and stronger to handle the stress better next time.
That is the essence of adaptation. The workout digs the hole, the protein fills the hole back up slightly higher than it was before.
Exactly.
Okay, so the biological blueprint is incredibly straightforward. Eat real food to nourish the cells, maintain a slight deficit if you want to lose fat, and lift heavy compound weights to build a strong, metabolically active engine. That's it.
Simple on paper.
Right. So why is it so incredibly hard to actually execute? If the formula fits on a Post-it note, why is the failure rate for fitness resolutions so astronomically high?
Because the biology is simple, but the psychology is immensely complex.
Fair point.
True fitness requires an alignment of the mind. It requires mastering what we can call the inner game and the outer game.
Okay, what's the inner game?
The inner game is all about recognizing the psychological barriers that quietly sabotage our consistency before we even step foot in a gym. A major one is the profound fear of judgment.
Oh, absolutely. Gym intimidation is very real. Walking into a weight room full of clanking iron and people who look like they know exactly what they're doing can trigger massive social anxiety.
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
But recognizing that fear for what it is, a mental narrative, not a physical barrier, is the first crucial step.
Because realistically, nobody is watching you.
Exactly.
Mm.
The gym's actually one of the most self-absorbed places on earth. Everyone is far too focused on their own reflection and their own sets to judge you.
That's so true.
Once you conquer that inner narrative, you have to translate it into the outer game. And this comes down to how we frame our goals.
This is fascinating because if your goal is just, I want to lose weight, that is an avoidance goal.
Yes.
It's vague, it's abstract, and it honestly just sounds like a chore. You are focusing on a negative losing something.
Exactly. Our brains do not wire dopamine hits to vague avoidance goals. You need an approach goal.
An approach goal.
You need a concrete, measurable target.
Hmm.
If you shift your focus from losing weight to, say, I want to run a 5K in under 25 minutes, or I want to be able to deadlift my own body weight, suddenly the entire dynamic changes.
Oh, I see.
You aren't punishing yourself to shrink.
Yeah.
You are fueling yourself to perform. You turn generalized enthusiasm into sustained, measurable motivation.
And tracking that progress gives you that constant feedback loop, like seeing the weight on the bar go up 5 pounds or shaving 10 seconds off your run that releases the dopamine that keeps you coming back.
Exactly.
And you don't even have to rely entirely on your own internal motivation, do you? Because the data heavily supports the value of a gym buddy.
Oh, the social contract is a powerful tool. Think of it like two tennis partners. If you just go out and hit a ball against a wall by yourself, your intensity naturally dips.
For sure.
But put a partner across the net who challenges your serve, who expects you to show up at 6 a.m., and suddenly you push yourself into an entirely new gear. You leverage social accountability to bypass your own excuses.
It forces you to be present. It forces that mind-body connection. We've all seen the person absent-mindedly scrolling on their phone while doing leg extension.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
But true intensity, the kind that forces the nervous system to adapt, requires deep internal focus. It's that quiet internal chant of one more rep when every alarm bell in your body is telling you to drop the weight.
That focus is paramount. But here is the ultimate kicker. This is the cliff where so many highly driven, highly motivated people fall off. You master the inner game. You set the concrete goals. You execute the heavy compound lifts. You eat the pristine protein.
Doing everything right.
And then you utterly refuse to rest.
Yes, because in our modern culture, we equate discipline with relentless, constant movement.
It's toxic.
The mentality is, if I am not sweating, I am not working. If I take a day off, I am losing progress.
Which is a fundamental misunderstanding of physiology.
Right?
Let's go back to the microtears and the muscle we talked about.
Okay.
When you are in the gym, lifting the weight, you are actively catabolic. You are breaking tissue down. Your muscles do not grow in the gym.
Where do they grow?
They grow in your bed.
Mm.
They grow on the couch.
Right. It's like overtraining without resting is like constantly watering a seed but keeping it in a dark closet. Like you're doing a lot of work but preventing the actual growth.
That is exactly what overtraining is. You are suppressing the recovery phase.
Because rest is the sunshine.
Beautifully put. When you sleep, your parasympathetic nervous system takes over. Your body releases surges of human growth hormone. Your central nervous system clears out metabolic waste.
So sleep is doing the heavy lifting.
Yes. If you shortchange your sleep, or if you refuse to take rest days, you are chronically elevating cortisol, your stress hormone, which actively eats away at muscle tissue and promotes fat storage.
Which means rest isn't a luxury. It isn't a sign of weakness. It is a strict, non-negotiable biological imperative for growth.
This raises an important question, though, about how we view self-discipline.
How so?
Because there's a fascinating psychological layer to this. Studies on human willpower show that people who practice self-compassion, who are actually kind to themselves when they miss a workout or eat off plan, exhibit significantly higher levels of long-term self-control than people who constantly berate and punish themselves.
Really? That's counterintuitive.
It is. But giving yourself the grace to recover actually fortifies the psychological resilience you need to stay consistent for years.
So, synthesizing everything we've unpacked today, the overarching lesson here is incredibly liberating.
It truly is.
Achieving your physical potential is not a frantic, confused sprint. It is a lifelong, consistent practice. You don't need a magic pill. You just need clarity.
Exactly.
You fuel your 100 trillion cellular powerhouses with real, understandable food. You stimulate your nervous system with compound functional movements, and then you step back and allow the biology to do its job through uncompromising rest.
And when you finally embrace that simplicity, the physical results almost become secondary.
They're just a byproduct.
Right. Because taking command of your physical destiny builds a profound, undeniable pride and confidence. You realize you are no longer a passive passenger in a confusing machine. You are the architect.
I love that.
And the discipline, the patience, and the resilience you build under the barbell inevitably bleed into your career, your relationships, and how you carry yourself in the world.
It is entirely transformative. So next time you feel that frantic urge to slash your calories to zero or punish yourself with hours of endless cardio, I want you to pause and ask yourself a fundamental question.
A very necessary pause.
Are you working in harmony with your incredibly efficient ancient biological machine of 100 trillion cells? Or are you declaring war on them?
That's the real question.
Because if our bodies simply crave consistency, basic nourishment, and rest, how much of the modern fitness industry is actually built on fighting our own biology just to sell us the cure for the confusion they created? Think about it.
A vital question to carry with you.
Thanks for exploring the biology with us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.